Friday the 13th. Here comes people racing in thinking they've missed it. You've never heard me give a few remarks, have you? Anyway, good afternoon. For those of you who are old friends, it's wonderful to see you. For those whom I have not met, I'm Ed Clark. I am president and co-founder of the Wildlife Center of Virginia. We started this little organization 31 years ago, last month, and it's consumed half of my life thus far, and you can do the math on that for yourselves. I'm now 39 years old, and we have from time to time got the opportunity to do some really fun stuff, and today is one of those days. It seems that whatever the reasons, each year in December we often get eagles that need to be released, and today is no exception to that, and we're getting to send this one home for Christmas, as the saying goes, and we're just delighted to be able to do that. For those of you who don't know about the Wildlife Center, or who maybe came because you saw a notice in the paper, we are the leading teaching and research hospital for wildlife medicine, wildlife and conservation medicine in the entire United States. Not only do we care for wildlife that have been injured and orphaned and displaced from across Virginia, but we also train people from across the United States and literally around the world to be able to do the same things that we do within reason. We train fourth-year veterinary students from every single vet school in the United States and Canada, and students and professionals from about 40 other countries come to our facilities in Waynesboro, study clinical medicine, study environmental education, study the conservation medicine and policy that we do. We travel to many other countries. I forget the exact number now, but I think we have now worked in about 14 other countries where our staff has actually gone on site to do trainings or do consultation. I think I've got about 8 or 9 of those personally, but we're currently have partnerships going with wildlife care facilities in South Africa. Been doing a lot of work with groups in Poland in the last 2 years. And so what we do here in Virginia with the 2,800 animals we'll get every year is really not the goal of the Wildlife Center. It's the vehicle through which we care for wildlife and promote conservation literally worldwide. Now, I've got some of my colleagues here with a goofy camera on her head as our spokesmodel. This is Katie Harding, our newest staff member of our outreach department, and some of our interns and other staff are around here. Wave, wave, wave. And there we go. There's another one back there all the way from Alaska. But we've got, actually, Tim Schrader, our host here, his daughter just finished an internship with us, and we're real delighted that Emily was able to spend some time with us. We want to thank our friends here at Belle Isle. I mean, what a perfect spot for releasing eagles and just coming to hang out. It'd be nice if you could move it about 2.5 hours closer, but you know, deal with what we've got to deal with. Bill, how you doing back there under your hat? Our Uber volunteer, if you've ever done an open house at the Wildlife Center, and that guy who gives those great open house tours, Bill Sykes over here is our one of our many Supreme volunteers. We've got a lot of folks in the crowd who've done a lot for us. This particular bird actually came from Northumberland County, as I understand the story, and was brought to our colleague, Diane O'Connor, who is here with her team. She's behind the Foster Grant sunglasses, so pretend like you don't recognize her. But the fact is that she and her team of volunteers who are sprinkled out through the crowd, and our transporters who get animals from down here up to the Wildlife Center, these are the folks who are the first responders and who give these birds the chance to get a second chance. And we're really delighted that in this case the bird has recovered. Now, it is not from Lancaster County, it's from Northumberland County, but honestly, if this bird wants to go back to Northumberland, it'll be there long before I get back to the Wildlife Center. So, you know, I got it this far, she can get herself across the pond there. But, in any case, what we're going to do with this particular bird, now, as I understand, she was, we think, hit by a car, is that right? and had a coracoid fracture, and the coracoid bone is not exactly like our collarbone, but it's very, very similar. And it's one of those things that when they fracture, very difficult to repair them surgically. Basically, you have to put the wing in position so the ends of the bones line up, and sometimes they move them around externally with manipulation, and then just hold it there until the bone heals. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But in this case, this bird has healed very well. She tolerated captivity very well, and we hope today she's going to take off out of here like she knows what she's doing. Now, before I get talking about the release and what we're going to do logistically here, are there any questions about eagles or the Wildlife Center or anything that we haven't touched on? Yes.
Well, I have a question. You said it's a she, and I'd like to name her Belle because of this beautiful day, but I understand you don't name them?
And thank you for remembering. I told you I was going to forget to answer that. So, the question was, do we name our patients? And the answer is no, we don't. And we don't for a couple of reasons. We don't because 2,800 names to come up with every year is, we got better things to do with our time. The other thing is that they're wild animals. They are not little people. They are not pets. And frankly, giving them a human name, in my opinion at least, diminishes them. Now look coming over here.
Look at that, he's shaking up again.
That's what in ceremonial terms we call that a flyby. And actually, when this bird gets released, we may see that bird again if it's got a nest nearby. It'd be quite what we would call a dog fight. But to finish the answer, we don't name them because naming them tends to diminish their wildness. They get numbers. That's how we keep track of them. I can't even tell you what this bird's number is, but I'm sure some of you can spout it off because you follow it more closely than I do. But it's what?
2422.
2422, there you go. That's why we pay her the big bucks. 2422, so, which we think is actually a very sexy name. So, and when you say it, and it rolls off your tongue. But the other thing is, when we have these animals that come in, not all the stories have a happy ending. I mean, quite honestly, about half of the animals that come to the Wildlife Center don't leave, at least not alive. Many of them die from their injuries. Some of them are so catastrophically injured we euthanize them to end their suffering. And very few that are not releasable are kept and either kept in our education program or placed in education programs around the United States or put on exhibits someplace. Even fewer still go into captive breeding programs. But in general, we don't think we need to embellish their wildness at all. This is a bald eagle. She's an adult female bald eagle. That's what they're supposed to look like. That's what you're supposed to take away. Question?
How long has she been under rehab?
When did she come in?
September.
September, okay. So there you go. So she's been with us about 2.5 months.
Now you say that she tolerated captivity.
Right.
Do they ever get used to being handled, or will they never like that?
Well, yes. Most of the time our wild patients don't get used to being handled. Now obviously for ones that we keep for education animals, we will really desensitize them to being handled. And in fact, if you come to the Wildlife Center any day right now, you'll see people walking up and down the hall with birds on their arms. And that's not normal. But we've got some new animals that are coming into the education department and our outreach program now. Been renamed from education to outreach. And those animals are being desensitized to human presence. So we bring them in, they sit around the office, they sit in the reception area, they come to staff meetings, they do whatever. And the bottom line is pretty soon they realize we're basically pretty boring creatures, and so they just begin to ignore us, and that's the whole point, so that we can bring them into large group settings, not stress them out, not make them afraid. We don't want that with our patients.
Right.
But when I say tolerate captivity, we don't want them to like it, but some birds in captivity absolutely freak out. And there are some birds that we've had that, in fact, we've got one there now. If you look at her, you'd think that we were getting ready to ship her off someplace because she's just covered with foam and bubble wrap and all kinds, because she wants to fly into the wall. And you know, a bird that weighs 15 pounds flying into the wall at 40 miles an hour, we've had, rarely in our 31 years, but we have had the situation where they get so freaked out they fly into the wall, break their own necks, and not so much eagles. They don't get moving that fast, but birds like Cooper's hawks, or peregrine falcons, or some of the smaller birds that are really fast, and in 100 feet they can build up a big head of steam. We don't want that. So when I say tolerate it, she basically had the decency to go sit on her perch, and when we go in to do what we need to do, she didn't freak out. Okay. Now, when we go to put our hands on her, as you will see shortly, they don't necessarily appreciate that. So, yes?
What kind of help from volunteers can we use on the ground here?
Well, what kind of help from volunteers do we use? Well, actually, there are a number of volunteers here. As when we pull this out, you'll see that the cage is covered with a beautiful red cage cover, and that was made by, again, one of our uber volunteers here. Lona Wilson is one of our many capable seamstress, or seamstri, is that the plural of seamstress? So little things that are seemingly, unimportant are very important. Bill is one of our tour guides. We've got transporters. Lona's also a transporter. Some of the rest of you have moved animals around. We have people who help us in lots of different ways. And when our outreach department is trying to reach out to local schools, local people a lot of times will call those schools and say, have you had the Wildlife Center speak to your students? And if not, why not? And encourage them. And what we find a lot of times is nobody ever brought it up before. And so there are myriad ways in which people can help us out, and the big thing is to want to try. And of course, if you're interested in working with animals, we encourage you to contact your local rehabilitators down here. And the Wild Bunch is right here, and I'm sure could use a few more volunteers from time to time. And of course, that's really glamorous work. Scoop and poop, all that. But not everybody gets to do it. So, it's like, what's that smear on your shirt? That's eagle poop. No, I'm never going to wash this shirt again. That wears off too. Not the poop, but the feeling. Any other questions?
How old is this bird?
This bird is an adult, and beyond that, we don't know. And honestly, I have not handled this bird. I've handled a few others in the last 30 years, so I'm not worried about that. So when we get her out, if it looks like, based on her feet, that's one of the ways we can tell their age. If their feet are young and looking and smooth skin and no wrinkles, essentially, and we know they're young. But if the really old birds that we've had in where they've been banded and we've been able to identify their age, when they get up in their 20s, their feet get pretty gnarly looking, and that's normal. I mean, look at me. Anyway, yes.
How much does she weigh?
Well, we'll see when we get her out. I don't know. Do you know her last weight when the?
I know when she was admitted, she was, I think, 4 kilograms.
Yeah, so she was about 9 or 10 pounds, and so we'll see when I get her out whether she weighs 10 pounds or a ton, and part of that will depend on how well she behaves. So, yes.
Is this one banded?
Is this one banded? I think they banned them. Did they ban this bird? Do we know? We'll find out. That typically we do ban them before they're released, so she was probably banded either on Saturday when they gave her last physical exam and did blood work, or when they were loading her into the cage. I assume so. We typically do. And that band is not one that it's not one of the research bands that are the colored bands you can see with a spotting scope. This, if she's banded, it'll be with one of the U.S. Geological Survey bird banding laboratory bands that are issued by the federal government. They have an identification number on them, and they're all registered. They're all in a computer, so if this bird is ever found again, and that number is recovered, you literally can go right on their website, put the band number in, and the information, all that we've got on that bird will pop right up. Okay? All right, any other questions before we get on with the getting on here? All right, what I'm going to do, and Chapin, I'll get you to help me if you will. Well, you've got the camera. Would you rather help, or should we get Bill to do it so you can film?
Either way.
Either way.
You're the boss.
I love that kind of talk. And she knows the only reason that I'm not guffawing or making some snide comment is because we have people here. Rodney Dangerfield said it best. I get no respect, So. But, okay.
So I just need, if I'm gonna film, I just need to have this sun behind me. So I
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
a
Well, we're
lovely
going to
view.
go out here. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to get the bird out. I don't think she's got any bumpers on. I didn't see any in there, but just be sure she's okay. Then I'm going to hold her for a while because she's been in there for 3 hours. It's dark in the cage. Give her eyes a chance to adjust. Give her a chance to get oriented before we just throw her up in the air and she's kind of freaked out. So that will happen, and then we're going to go right out here in front of the vehicle, and I'm going to ask you all to do a horseshoe between me and the water, because we need to have nobody in front of me specifically, and that way we'll increase the chances that she'll fly the way that I point her, but, you know, she might. Okay, any other questions before we get down with the getting down? All right, there we go. All right, I think I'm going to skin down here.
I can keep this on and still be in.
Okay, good. Go ahead. All right, now to protect my tender skin, these gloves are actually specifically designed for eagles because they're really strong up here. I'm probably not going to put on the outer layer because I think I can get my hands on this bird pretty easily. The front part is heavy leather, it's elk skin leather, but it's more pliable, so I can get a grip. And I'll put both of those on, get the bird out, and then before people ask me 100,000 times, oh, you're not wearing gloves, I'm going to pull the gloves off or have somebody help me get them off so that I can handle the bird's legs barehanded and get exactly the hold that I want to have. So it's safer for the bird, it will be safer for me, but not until I get her out of the cage and we get her head and her feet and her wings under complete control. Then we'll pull the gloves off so that I can really hold her tightly enough without being too tight, and these heavy gloves just don't really allow that very well. Okay? Any other questions? All right, good answer. No questions. All right, Bill, if you will, and Chapin, you can come over here and give me a hand as well in case we need both of you. Now, please notice this says WCV, Wildlife Center of Virginia Freedom Team. Oh. Yahoo! Still too much clothes on. Hey there, big girl. Ooh, this is a big bird. All right, Bill, you want to get the door for me? Oh, big poop. There we go. All right.
Oh, don't get too close.
No, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me, and I won't hurt you. All right. All right.
Oh, wow.
Woo, that's a big bird. All right. Hang on a second. There we go. Get that head under control next. That is. Of course, we're fighting.
Right to the face.
Get that down.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Okay, now then, you will grab her head, hold it. Got it? All right. This hand's here. You can keep holding. Pull that off if you would, sir. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Boy, that's a big bird. All right, let's go over here. In front, get down so the people who aren't in front can see. I'll send her straight out from us here. I'm going to walk closer to you so that you can get a good picture. I'll start over here.
At last weigh in, she was about 4.5 kgs.
4.5 kgs. Okay, so she's about 10 pounds. Well, actually, for a female, that's about an average. Get her to us.
Thank you.
You know,
Thanks.
blocking
Okay.
what I'm doing.
All right. She's actually doing real well. I'm not bleeding at all.
That's always a good sign.
That's always a good sign. That's not always the case, however. I try not to release eagles by myself without help anymore, because one time I tried to do that, and while I was trying to get the glove off, I let go of the eagle's head, and she promptly reached around and bit a chunk out of my cheek.
She was certainly ready to do that today, too.
When you look at her feet now, what do you think?
Yeah, she's a pretty old bird, so the chances are real good that this bird could be from a nesting territory nearby. So that's the reason we brought her back down here. Okay, everybody got your pictures? All right, now I'm going to walk right over here in the middle, and very optimistically, I'm going to walk her straight that way.
Give us a count. One,
Oh, I'll count. Oh, I'll count. I'll count. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right, everybody ready? Make this happen. 1, 2, 3.